Chapter 5. Hey, Randy! Catch! I turned around. A big leather ball hit me in the stomach. Oof! I clutched my belly. The ball dropped to the floor. Sorry, Randy, Sarah called. I didn't mean to catch you by surprise. I couldn't answer her right away. She knocked the wind out of me. We were in gym class. Miss Mason, the gym teacher, had gotten out all this old gym equipment and told us to play with it. I guess she hadn't made a lesson plan for that day. So Sarah had heaved the medicine ball at me. It's like a beach ball made of lead. Tossing it around is supposed to make your arms strong, I think. But I was tired that day and kind of a klutz. If I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm completely brain dead, and I hadn't slept well since we moved to Fear Street. Randy? Are you alright? Sarah looked scared now. I nodded and straightened up. I'm okay. Maybe we should play with the hula hoops for a while. They look safe. Sarah grabbed a hot pink hula hoop. I took an orange one. I rocked back on one leg and whirled the hoop around my waist. I frantically swiveled my hips. Shoop, shoop, shoop. The hoop swept down to my thighs, my knees, my ankles. The little beads rattled inside of it as it hit the floor. I never could hula hoop. Meanwhile, Sarah shooped away. How do you do that? I asked. It's easy, she said with a shrug. You just do it. I picked mine up and tried again. Shoop, 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 clatter. Straight down to the floor. You want to come to my house this Saturday? Sarah asked me as she hulaed. I'm having a sleepover. I was so happy I almost shouted my answer. Sure, that would be great. Maybe at the sleepover I get to know some other girls, and soon I have a whole crowd of friends. Laura shimmied past me then, throwing a baton. Better get in shape, Randy, she murmured, or else find a good place to hide. I glanced at Sarah. Her eyes widened. She's not going to be at your sleepover, is she? I asked. No, Sarah replied. Good, I said. What is she talking about? She said something like that to me last week. Why is she always telling me to watch out? Sarah let her hula hoop clatter to the floor. It's hard to explain, Randy. What do you mean, it's hard to explain? Can't you give me a hint, at least? I had meant to be funny, but Sarah laughed. All I mean is, it's a long story, she answered. You'll find out more on Saturday. I pressed on. Tell me this much. Am I in some kind of trouble? Sarah shook her head. No more than anyone else, Randy. At least I don't think so. Gym class finally ended. Sarah and I changed and went to art class. We went to teachers besides Miss Hartman for a couple of subjects. We sat at a table with Megan and David and molded wet gray globs of clay into bowls and cups and saucers. Is this play going to be any good, you guys? Megan asked. Sherlock Holmes sounds kind of boring to me. It's going to be great, Sarah told us. Everyone in is really good. Don't you think, David? Yeah, David agreed, smoothing out the lines of a mug he was making. Except for Lucas. He's a ham. I think Lucas is pretty good, Sarah said. She poked dots around the rim of a saucer. Anyway, his part isn't very big. Basically, he gets stabbed by the killer and then lies there when you check out the scene for clues. Playing a corpse should be easy enough for Lucas. How bad could he be? I saw Lucas in his makeup, I put in. He almost scared me to death. He's terrible, David insisted. All that moaning and shaking, he practically wrecks the play. Come on, David, Megan scoffed. He can't be that bad. Okay, he's not that bad, David admitted, but he's still the worst thing in the play. That's probably why he has the smallest part, Sarah said. We all laughed. I felt happy. My second week at school, and I already had some friends, and Sarah's sleepover was only 2 days away. Sarah lived in a big brick house in North Hills. Dad parked out front and went inside with me to meet the Lewises. My dad's tall and dark-haired and athletic. He wears ugly black-rimmed glasses, but I think he's handsome anyway. He wears jeans and tweed jackets and looks like a professor, but he's really a computer programmer. Mr. and Mrs. Lewis led us into the living room. Some of our parents were sitting there drinking coffee. Welcome to Shady Side, Mrs. Lewis said when she shook Dad's hand. She was tiny and neat. She looked funny next to her husband, who was as tall as Dad. Sarah tells me you just moved here from Maine. Mr. Lewis handed Dad a cup of coffee and turned to me. Why don't you take your things down to the basement, Randy? The other girls are already getting settled down there. Dad leaned over to kiss me goodbye. Look out for the octopus, he whispered. He was thinking the first time I went to a friend's house to sleep over, my friend Tanya's house. Tanya had weird parents. They served us octopus for dinner. When Tanya and I got into bed, I kept thinking about the octopus. I felt sure the dead octopus's tentacles were going to reach out from under the bed. They'd grab me and the octopus's ghost would get its revenge by eating me. I started crying. I called my parents and begged them to come take me home. Tanya thought I didn't like her anymore. I was only 7 years old at the time. That was before I decided not to let my imagination run away with me. Before I realized you have to look at your facts. You'd think Dad would have forgotten about it by now. I wish he let me forget it. Very funny, Dad, I sniffed. I carried my sleeping bag through the kitchen and down to the basement. Randy's here, Sarah called as I came down the steps. Our basement is like a dungeon, but the Lewis's was all fixed up with a TV and a VCR, a stereo, even a kitchenette in one corner. The floor was carpeted and travel posters covered the walls. Nothing scary about this basement at all. Sarah introduced me to the other girls, Megan, Anita, Carla, and her twin sister Chris. I already knew Megan, of course, and I seen Anita and Jim. Sprout your sleeping bag, Sarah said. We're going to make popcorn and watch a horror movie. I searched for a spot for my sleeping bag. At summer parties, your sleeping bag spot can be a big deal. Back in Maine, Tanya and I always put ours next to each other. The other girls had already spread their sleeping bag out over the carpet. Chris and Carla zipped theirs together to make it a double. The sleeping bags formed a rough semicircle in front of the TV. I unrolled my bag in the middle. Sarah made popcorn in the microwave. Mrs. Lewis appeared at the foot of the stairs. Having fun, girls? She said. I won't bother you anymore, but you know where to find me if you need me. Don't stay up too late. Ha ha. Right, Mom, Sarah said. And try not to make too much noise. Sarah's little brothers will be going to bed soon. If they can't sleep, I'm going to send them down here to play with you, and I know you don't want that. She's bluffing, Sarah said. I am not, her mother replied. Well, good night, girls. Have a good time. She waved and tapped her way upstairs in her high-heeled shoes. Your mother's so nice, Sarah, Chris said. Sarah rolled her eyes. You should hear her when I come home late. We all giggled. The timer on the microwave went off, and soon Sarah set a big bowl of popcorn beside me. What movie are we going to watch? I asked. Dracula, Sarah answered. Chris groaned. Do we have to watch a scary movie? I get scared really easily. You can go upstairs and hang out with my mother if you want, Sarah teased, since you're so crazy about her. Chris, you moron, Carla said. We already saw Dracula, and you said it wasn't scary at all. Oh yeah, I forgot, Chris smiled sheepishly. She seemed like a nice girl, but kind of spacey. She and Carla looked exactly alike. Round faces, big dark eyes, ski jump noses, except that Carla wore her frizzy black hair short, and Chris kept hers in two thick braids. So far, that was the only way I could tell them apart. We put on our pajamas and settled into our sleeping bags. Sarah slid this tape into the VCR and turned out the lights. The movie began. It was an old black and white version of Dracula. I think black and white movies are scarier than color. They're so shadowy and dark. Dracula sank his fangs into his victims' necks. The hair prickled on the back of mine. It's not real blood, I told myself. It's only chocolate syrup. When the movie ended, Sarah didn't turn on the lights. We sat and talked in the glow of the television set. The screen showed nothing but fuzz and static now. That wasn't scary at all, Chris declared. Oh, right, Carla countered. And you didn't dig your fingernails into my arm the whole time. She flashed her forearm, showing us the marks her 6 nails had made. Dracula's not as scary as Pete, Anita said. The room went quiet all of a sudden. I had that feeling, the feeling I'd ever since I moved to Shayside, that everyone knew something I didn't. I broke the silence. Who's Pete? No one answered.